Happy Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to On the Card, presented by TRHS Sports. I'm your host, Phil Wood, and I'm going to be looking for the best bets for Saturday, August 8th for you. I said I was only going to do this twice a week. At least that was the initial plan, but it seems like it's just a better idea to go through this and actually do it every day until the NBA and NHL calm down. It's just too hard to predict opening lines. It's too hard to predict who's actually going to play. The NBA is becoming incredibly unpredictable. So it just makes more sense to go live every morning. The episodes won't be incredibly long. Some of them will only be like 15, 20 minutes, but at least it'll get you the bets for each day rather than me trying to guess at what I'm trying to talk about. This isn't about guessing. This is about trying to win everybody some money. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to win everybody some money. Last episode didn't go great. It was 4-5. We did get a big underdog winner there in Vancouver. The Oilers and Blackhawks game really pissed me off. That game was at 2-2 halfway through the second period. Everything was looking great, and then nobody scored again until the Blackhawks scored late. That was annoying. Penguins got totally outplayed by Montreal. I think the Penguins were nervous, so that didn't work out. Mets-Marlins was a lock to go over until it started downpouring. It poured for like 5 innings. As soon as it stopped raining, the Mets started scoring again, but unfortunately, that was not enough to change anything. So that's what I got from what happened last time. We're still bringing in here a 21-14 record into episode 4, 3-2 on dog picks. Not bad at all. I want to look at today's slate. It's actually gotten a lot easier. It's gotten a lot cleaner because the NHL, nobody wanted to win yesterday. All of the teams that had their back against the wall lost, with the exception of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had the most insane comeback I've probably ever seen in sports history. Down 3-0 with 5 minutes left. They pull their goalie, score 3 straight goals to send it to OT, win the game to go to game 5. It's one of the most impressive comebacks. Glad we weren't on the money line in that game. That would have been absolutely devastating to watch that one go down the way it did. It was absolutely devastating. Anyway, so that wasn't fun. If you had the Blue Jackets, or if you're a Blue Jackets fan, I feel for you. I had already crossed it off my list, but it's not being played till tomorrow. But because all these teams went down, all we're left with today is the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche and the Philadelphia Flyers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's all we got. Those are the only 2 hockey games that we have going today. I like a side in both of them. The Avalanche, if you read my 5 last night, what I've been trying to do, if you go over to realphilwood.com and read the 5, I give daily updates. Because now I'm going to be doing this daily until the NBA and NHL kind of get under control. The 5 is going to be more about just seeing opening lines that I love. And one of those was the Blazers at +4.5, which I threw on the card the other day. Thankfully, picked it up as soon as it opened. Already has moved to Blazers -4. Because Kawhi Leonard isn't playing. I'm not going to throw that new number on the card, but I'm glad I got in early on the other one. So that's a good reason to follow me over on Twitter at Phil Wood Jr. or to go over and listen to what I say on the 5, because the 5 is really me just trying to look at what is going to move and what's going to be bad. One of those things moved a little bit, but not much. The Avalanche opened last night at -110. I'm now seeing around -124. I'm still going to take that one. I think that's a good bet. They're playing against the Knights, and the Knights are looking really good right now, but more on the offensive side of things. When I get into playoff hockey, situations like this, I look at it as who's got the better defense. And I think right now the Avalanche just have the better defense. I saw it frustrate the Pittsburgh Penguins yesterday. Edmonton got super frustrated by the Blackhawks. I think it continues here, and I like the Avs to win this game as small favorites. I'm going to put the Avalanche on the card at -124. Look, the Golden Knights can score. There's no denying it, but I actually think this is going to be a lower scoring game because the Avs are going to be the ones who actually take control and play it out nicely. I think that they're going to be the ones who dictate the pace, ultimately pull out the victory. And if they don't pull out the victory, we're going to have a Vegas Golden Knights versus Chicago Blackhawks first-round matchup, which is going to be over city all day long. But I think the Avs are the better team here. I like them to get this win against the Vegas Golden Knights and lock up the 1 seed in the West. The other game we got going on is the Philadelphia Flyers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this one's interesting to me because this had originally opened at over under 6 goals. So like I said, again, if you got into the 5 last night, you got this at under 6. It has moved down to 5.5, just as I expected it to. And it's not surprising at all. The Lightning can score. Yes, there's no denying that. But They've blown 2-0 leads in both of their previous games and still haven't gone over the total of 5. It's been 3-2 and 3-2. The Flyers, meanwhile, are the best defensive team that the Lightning are playing by far this season. I really like this under under 5.5. You're getting almost an underdog price here. It's -103 in a lot of books, -100 or whatever, +100. It's really coming in right at that number where I think you could get away with just stealing this one. And I like it though. I'm not just saying this because it's a good number. I really do believe that this game goes under. This is the best defensive team that the Lightning are facing. Elliott and Carter Hart both have wins already for the Flyers in this playoff. They've only given up 1 goal in each of their games. I mean, maybe they give up 2 here, but who's to say the Flyers are actually going to be the team that wins? I like this one to go under 5.5. I think it's a really good bet here for the NHL. Unfortunately, those are the only 2 bets we have for the NHL today because there really aren't many NHL bets. And you'll see, I really don't have many bets on the card today. I think I have 5 or 6, which, still is a pretty good amount for one day of betting. Like I said before, this isn't about putting out the most bets, it's about winning the most money. And sometimes not placing bets is when you're going to win money because you take a side that you were wrong on, such as me with the Edmonton Oilers and the over yesterday. So I'm going to move over to the NBA, and I know a lot of people are excited with the NBA, and we were on a real hot streak at the beginning with the NBA. We hit the under of Memphis yesterday. That was the only bet we ended up having because Washington and New Orleans came in way too high. The Spurs came in at -8, ended up pushing at -8. The Washington New Orleans over never even came close, so that was good that we were able to lay off. Portland, like I said, I got them at +4.5. I hope you listened to me when that happened, and as soon as it came out, hope you threw that one on the card because that was definitely worth taking. However, today's a different story. Portland started off as +4.5, but now they've moved down to -4. I think it's too big. I mean, I still like the Blazers here. If I had to pick a side, I would take the Blazers. Kawhi is out. Blazers are playing for everything. Clippers are playing for nothing. We're seeing how that's starting to impact teams. The Lakers are looking like trash right now. You have teams like the Celtics blowing out the Raptors, who have already locked up the 2 seed, while the Celtics are still playing to confirm the 3 seed. We're seeing this really have an impact on games, and it's really starting to annoy me because it's getting harder and harder to predict what's actually going to happen in these NBA games. And now I'm kind of looking forward to this seeding round being over so we can just move on to the playoffs where we know that teams are going to play their best players every day. And that's it. It's getting really, really difficult to sit here and figure out, are they going to try to play defensively? Are they not going to play defensively? We have no idea what's going on. So that being said, I would lean Blazers here at -4. The over under 231. I have no idea. I was looking at Dame's over 27.5. He's only gone under that once this entire bubble period. I was looking at it, but I just don't know. I mean, what if this game ends up being 105 to 100? I don't think that means Dame goes over 27.5. I don't think that means he's scoring a quarter of their points. So I'm going to stay away from that one. Nurk up to 18.5. If you've been watching the games and not just reading stupid articles, you would know he looks exhausted. He doesn't look that good right now. Even though he's gone over every game, he doesn't look good. I was riding Nurk early on. I won 3 bets with Nurk going over. I don't like him to go over here, despite the fact that he's gone over every time. I'm not going to touch it, but that's just a warning to everybody. I know there were some articles out there like, wow, Nurk has looked amazing. But if you watch the game, if you watch the Portland Trailblazers, I don't think the people who are writing that are actually watching the game because Nurk looks exhausted. He barely got the over in his last 2 games, and he seems dead right now. I don't like him to go over in this game, but I don't like it enough to go under because why bet against, the horse that's winning? So I'm just going to avoid that one at all costs. I don't really have much of a take aside from that. Moving on to the Jazz and Nuggets, I actually do kind of like one here, and I think I'm going to put it on the card, but I'm going to talk it through first. I like the Nuggets are only 1.5 point favorites. And what I think is interesting about the Nuggets is they've been playing this entire time without Jamal Murray and a lot of it without Paul Millsap. And they're still winning the games. They're still getting W's. I know that they ended up losing to Portland, but it was a close game. Like they played them really, really tight the entire time. It was a little nerve-wracking if you had the spread. Ultimately, the Trailblazers pulled away near the end, but it was a little nerve-wracking if you were just watching it from that sense. So I don't know. I feel like the Nuggets are a better team than the Jazz. I don't feel like the Jazz are all that impressive. I know they benched a lot of their players yesterday, probably to be ready for today. But I just still feel like this Denver team all around is just a better team than the Jazz are. However, why is it only coming in at -1.5? I'm not sure. I wish. I'm doing this the morning of, and I still don't know if Jamal Murray is going to play. Something tells me he is going to play. It's just going to be in a very limited role. But even if he gets to play in a very limited role, I like the Nuggets here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the Nuggets -1.5 on the card. And that'll be one of two NBA bets that I'm taking for you here, which actually is going to bring our total up to 7. So let's move on to the next game, which is the Pacers-Lakers. Pacers come in here at +6. As of now, it was all the way up to +8. It was all the way down to -5.5 for the Lakers. It's just been all over the place, all over the map. The Lakers have not shown up to the bubble. I don't know if they're going to get on the bus and arrive one of these games, but they have not shown up. They look terrible. They've already wrapped up the 1 seed. They have nothing to play for. They've looked bad. However, we don't really know what we're going to get from the Pacers tonight either because of what the situation. We don't know TJ Warren, and I just don't know if I can pick a side in this game. So therefore, I'm not going to. If I'm not confident about it, I'm not taking it. We want to get a great win percentage. We don't want to just have a bet on every game to make the games exciting. Basketball and sports can be exciting enough if you're watching it. You don't need to take a bet just to take a bet. So I'm not going to take anything in this Lakers-Pacers game until the Lakers actually tell me what team they are. Next game, we got the Suns and the Heat. I got it at -1.5. I'm throwing this on the Phoenix. I really like this. Once again, it comes down to who wants to win. And the Suns are putting out their best team. The Heat aren't playing Jimmy Butler. They're not playing a couple other players who I'm for some reason blanking on. So let me just find that. But you got to like the Suns here. I mean, they're on an absolute heater right now. I mean, they're on fire right now, and they're not going to lose, I don't think, to this team that's not even putting out their best team. I think this is the best situation for the Suns and something that we just didn't take into account when we were actually putting out these lines at the beginning. And when Vegas was doing this, I don't think they looked at it, was the Suns, yeah, for sure, were the worst team coming into the bubble, hands down, no questions asked. However, the Suns also have something to play for, and nobody else does. So when you're playing against other B teams and C teams, you can win those games. And I really like this team to pull out the win here again at -1.5 over the Heat. The Heat, who are benching players and already looking ahead to their next game. Give it to me all day. I guess the Heat are coming off. I'm trying to figure it out here. No, so the Heat don't have another game on tomorrow. I was wondering if they had a game tomorrow, and that's why they're benching people, but they don't. So I still like the Suns here. And then the last game of the night, Bucks, Mavericks. Mavericks are terrible, but the Bucks don't look great either. The Bucks came back against the Heat, down 17, come back to win it by 16. They actually looked like the Bucks when they decided to turn it on. So I can't really get a good read on that one either. So I'm going to avoid that one. Not taking any over-unders, because despite hitting the Memphis under yesterday, that read was not correct. That game should have went way over. If OKC doesn't go incredibly cold from the field in the second half, that game goes way over. I think OKC scored less than 60 points after the first quarter. It was insane. They scored 37 in the first quarter, and I think they ended the game with like 95 or something like that. Crazy that game didn't go over. I don't know how it happened, but thank you, whoever was looking down and watching us on that one. So just to reiterate what I have on the card for the NBA, I have Phoenix -1.5, and I have Denver -1.5. Those are the only two bets I have. If you got in last week, if you got in on episode 3, this is why you got to be listening to every episode. You got to be following me on realphilwood.com, looking at the 5 every night. It's going to be there every night. Get in the habit. Look at it like you look at the weather. There you have the Portland Trailblazers at +4.5. +4.5. It has gone 7.5 point swing. I'm sorry, 8.5 point swing, because it's at -4 right now. It opened at -3 this morning, and now it's at -4. 8.5 point swing. If you got in early, if you were listening, if you were here, you got an easy bet. Possibly the ultimate lock. It doesn't get much better than getting in on a bet, finding out the best player for another team is not playing, and seeing that go from +4.5 to -4. That tells you, and knowing that your team, the team you're on, is playing for the number 8 seed in the playoffs. They're a game behind the Grizzlies. Because the Grizzlies won yesterday over OKC, I actually like Portland even more today, because Portland's going to go out there and they need this game. However, the Clippers are still a very good team. I am not going to touch the -4. Plus, I'm excited because I already got in at +4.5. All right. That's really all we got for the NBA and the NHL. Let's go over to the MLB, and then I want to talk a little bit about college football, just because I want to get everybody excited. Also, NHL conference lines and Stanley Cup futures are out right now. I looked at those briefly. I'm going to be doing an article for bettingpros.com. Should be coming out this weekend. So if you're looking for what kind of futures I'm liking, I'm really looking at the Flyers right now. They are plus 300. I like the Avalanche. We'll see how they do against the Knights today, but I think they pull that out there at plus 265 right now. I also like the Canucks at plus 1,000. And let me explain this one to you. And this is just for anybody out there who likes placing futures. I'm not actually putting any of these on the card, but the Canucks at plus 1,000, no team has benefited more from the Chicago Blackhawks and the Arizona Coyotes winning than the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks move way up now. And because they were in the hang on, I just want to make sure that they were the 7. I believe they were the 7 seed, right? Coming into this. Now I feel like I'm going to get this wrong. I thought that they were the 7 seed. I'm pretty sure they were. I'm looking. Anyway, the Vancouver Canucks move way up because of this. And so therefore, I really like this because they're no longer a 7 seed having to play the 2 seed. Now they're the 7 seed getting to play against the 4 seed because they're actually technically a 5 seed. It's really interesting the way this worked out because 2 teams below them finished with better records than them. They get to move way up. Or because the 2 teams below them won their series, they get to move way up. Sorry, I'm still looking over here to make sure I have this right. I want to make sure I'm not giving anybody the wrong information here. Yeah, it looks like the Canucks are actually going to get in here as the number 5 seed. That means they're taking on the 4 seed. And if you think about why is this a big deal? Why does this matter? Because the 4 seed is the team that did the worst in the seeding games. The 4 seed is going to be the team in the bubble that hasn't won a game. Okay, that's a big deal, especially since the Canucks just saw themselves win a series. They just won a series in the playoffs to knock off the Wild. They win that last game. I don't know if anybody watched that game last night. It didn't end until 11 o'clock Pacific time, so I can't imagine anybody on the East Coast was watching it. But that's something that you really need to look at. I mean, that is, I don't know. I mean, they've won a series. The team they're going to be playing against is likely not, or they're definitely not going to have won a game because it's going to be the Blues versus the Stars. The loser of that game gets the 4 seed. It's just something you really got to look at. It's something you really, really got to think about. It's something you really, really got to look at. They're at plus 1,000 right now. That's a good number. I mean, that's a good number for a team that really could pull this out and win this thing. And I just want to make sure that they're actually the 7. Yeah, they were the 7. Okay, good. For some reason, that's so hard to find. The NHL information is so hard to find. But like I said, they've won a series. They've won a series as the Vancouver Canucks. Whoever they're going to be playing in the first round didn't. Look at their series line. Like them to move on past their series line. They should have been playing the 2. They're now playing the 4. Like them to move on past their series line and look at them to be able to pull some upsets later. That's a good one to look at, plus 1,000 on the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not putting it on the card, but I want everybody out there to be paying attention. If you're listening to this, the 10 of you who are listening, congratulations. You just got really good words of wisdom moving forward. All right, let's move on to the MLB. I got 3 bets on the MLB here. I'm looking at the entire slate. This is probably the most MLB I've ever watched. Anybody who hopped on with me yesterday with the Houston-Oakland under, that was one of the easiest unders ever, although it did get a little scary because of the stupid new extra innings rule, and the game just kept going on, and every time with the game starting with somebody on second base, you just feel like it's just going to keep getting tied back up. Ends up being an Oakland win 3-2 in 13 innings. If you followed me on the 5, you got the easiest bet of your entire life, which was the Detroit Tigers versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. That game was over 8.5 runs. Final score 17-13. And no, that's not an NFL game. That is an MLB game. All right. But for today's slate, it's a little bit interesting. We have Garrett Cole going for the Yankees against Tampa Bay. Yesterday, we were on the Yankees. We ended up losing that bet. I'm not going to touch this one, but in a 7-inning game with Garrett Cole pitching, the over-under is only at 5.5 because it's the first game of a doubleheader. Garrett Cole could probably go the full game here, and I bet you that that's Aaron Boone's plan, is to have Garrett Cole go the full game here. If you really like that, take the Tampa Bay under. I think it's at 2.5 right now. I think the Yankees is at 3.5. So if you think Garrett Cole's going to go the full game, take the 2.5 under, and like the Yankees to try not to use their bullpen until the second game of this, because I don't even know who's starting yet. Nobody knows who's starting yet. So that's what I would look at there if I was going to take a side. I'm going to avoid the other Detroit-Pittsburgh game, even though it was a lot of fun yesterday. The over up to 9.5. I'm not going to touch that. Ivan Nova versus Holland. I'm not going to go with that one. The bets I do like here, though, are the Dodgers -1.5 for the first 5 innings. Get it at a fair price, though. I know some of the offshore books are putting it at a really high number, like -190, -200. But if you go to DraftKings right now, it's at -104 for them to be winning by 1.5 runs after 5 innings. They're throwing Kershaw on the mound. Johnny Cueto's getting the start for San Francisco. The one thing about Cueto's career, if you look at it as a whole, he always gives up runs. Very rarely does he have a 0-run performance where he comes out, especially against a really good offense like the Dodgers with Kershaw on the mound. I like the Dodgers to come out and I like them to put up a couple runs in these first 5 innings. Now, I'm not going to take the over of the first 5 innings because I don't know if San Francisco is going to get any runs. So I'm going to take the Dodgers -1.5 for the first 5 innings and put that one on the card. I don't like it for the full game because the price actually gets too big for my liking. So that's my first MLB bet. Second MLB bet, I'm going over to, where is it? I'm going over to Minnesota versus Kansas City. I can't figure this one out. And maybe somebody, if there's anybody listening, if there's anybody out there, put it in the chat. Tell me what's going on. I need to know, what am I missing in this Minnesota versus Kansas City game? Odorizzi is getting his first start of the season for the Twins, coming off of an injury. Could have came back sooner, but the Twins are so good with their pitching staff anyway. He doesn't need to be out there. He's taking on Danny Duffy of Kansas City. Danny Duffy gave up 12 runs against the Twins last year in 2 starts. He's not good this year. He's coming off his best start of the season where he gave up 1 earned run. But I don't like Danny Duffy. Danny Duffy's 0-2 for Kansas City. I cannot figure out what's going on here because what's blowing my mind is the line, Minnesota -1.5, is only at -105. That's a great bet. I don't understand what I'm missing. That's a great bet. I really like this one. I am so inclined to just start hammering this game in any way, shape, or form. However, I've been burned the last couple times that I've tried to take more than one bet in a certain game. However, this would be a game I would do it. The Twins -1.5 at the beginning, Twins money line, Twins -1.5 for the full game. I think you can't go wrong with any of it. I do not understand what's going on with this one. The Twins are playing great baseball. The Kansas City Royals are terrible. Odorizzi's getting his first start. Maybe people are worried that in the first inning he gives up a run or two. But Kansas City's a great team to get your first start against. Love it. Minnesota -1.5. I'm sorry. It's -1.5 for the full game. Okay. So for anybody who just got confused by that, it's -1.5 for the full game at -105. You can get this at -0.5 a run for the first 5 innings. -0.5 a run. Now that price is steep. That price is like -140, but still -0.5 a run. Are you kidding me? They just have to be leading against the Royals with one of their best pitchers going against one of the worst pitchers in the MLB. Wow. Okay. I like all that. However, the only thing I'm putting on the card is Twins -1.5 over the entire game at -105. That's going on the card. You all can look around though, and do not be scared to put something else for the Twins on there. All right. My final bet of the day is going to be, and I want to make sure I get this one right so nobody's confused. Colorado Rockies, Seattle Mariners over 5 runs for the first 5 innings. I love this bet. The reason I love this is Markovich is getting his first start for the Seattle Mariners, and Castellani is making his MLB debut. Now, both of these teams, the Colorado Rockies have a great record right now. I think they're 10-3. They've been playing really good baseball. The Mariners are the Mariners at the end of the day. But you have a first-time starter who, yes, is a good reliever, but this is exactly what I did with Pittsburgh yesterday because relievers aren't meant to go that many innings, and then that turns it over to the bullpen very early. He's going to be going against a Rockies team that is 10-3 and has scored 72 runs this season, where the Mariners, if you look at them, they've given up 96 runs. That is the MLB worst 96 runs that they've given up so far this season. So they're going to throw out a first-time starter against a team that has the best record in baseball other than the Miami Marlins. They're tied, I guess, with the Cubs. But win percentage-wise, other than the Marlins, they are tied for the second-best record in baseball with the Colorado Rockies. The Mariners are throwing out a first-time starter. Yes, the Rockies guy is also making his MLB debut. However, that's why I'm not taking the Rockies to win by any type. That's why I'm not taking the Rockies money line. That is why I'm strictly taking over 5 runs for the first 5 innings. I like both teams to score and score often. I think that it's something that's definitely going to happen, especially the Rockies. They're going to put runs on the board against this kid. That's what I love. Put it on the card. Over 5 runs in the first 5 innings for the Colorado Rockies and Seattle Mariners. That's all I got. That's all I got for today's card. So it actually ended up coming in at a bigger amount than I thought. It came in at 7, plus the Portland plus 4.5 that's still held over from yesterday, which would be nice because that would make yesterday a 500 day. No underdogs here today, although the Twins minus 1.5 is technically an underdog, being that it's only minus 105, but I only look at underdogs as anything that's plus money. So I'm going to run through the card one more time. We got the LA Dodgers minus 1.5 through first 5 innings. Colorado, Seattle over 5 for the first 5 innings. Twins minus 1.5 for the full game. Look at those first 5 inning bets, though. Not a bad idea. NBA, Phoenix Suns minus 1.5. Denver Nuggets minus 1.5. NHL, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay under 5.5. Avalanche minus 124. And that's all we got. That's the card for today. I'll be back again tomorrow morning to break down some more games. We're going to have at least 3 NHL games tomorrow, which is nice. So at least we have that going for us. And then also we're going to have a lot more NBA games tomorrow. So tomorrow's a big one for me to actually do this in the morning because there's just way too much of a slate going on tomorrow. Full slate of MLB, of course, minus the Cardinals and the Cubs. So tomorrow will be another day. Good luck out there. If you want to drop me a line on Twitter, a lot of people have already been reaching out to me. I answer very quickly. I'm just excited that anybody wants to hear my opinion. I'm excited that people are listening and wanting to interact and all of that. So if you're a fan, go over to find me on @PhilWood Jr. Reach out to me. You can also find me on my website, realphilwood.com. I answer anything that anybody puts out there. So if you ask me about gambling or anything like that, I will answer. You can hit me up on that page right at the front. I don't even know what you would call it, contact page. That's how, yeah. Okay. I didn't set up the website, but check out that and make sure to keep reading the 5 and be putting out again tonight. There's probably going to be some cool spreads for the NBA that come out, and then they're probably going to move a lot tomorrow because, like I said, we have a full slate of games tomorrow for the NBA, and I think that a lot of teams are going to be resting players now that things are starting to be locked up. Otherwise, keep following TRHS Sports, keep following Russell and all his daily fantasy games, and we'll see you next time on the card.